Pitt does indeed take down Mississippi State in Dayton in the first four. They're heading on to the round of 64. Let's talk about this crazy game on this episode of Locked On Pitt.
You are Locked On Pitt, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Panthers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Back to the Locked On Pitt podcast, everybody. As always, I am your host, Nick Faribault. Pitt with a monumental win for their program here over Mississippi State, 60-59. Just a crazy game overall. It keeps getting better for Pitt, doesn't it? This season, no matter the ups and downs, it feels like it just keeps getting better for the Panthers. This episode of Locked On is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel/Locked On today to get started. But folks, I really want to talk about what this win means for this team. Yes, it was a grimy game and it was dirty and the fouls were abundant. It was a really bad offensive game and no one could shoot from deep and all of this stuff happened and it lived up to it. But the character of this Pitt men's basketball team shone through so beautifully in this game to me. I mean, this was a gorgeous representation of what this Pitt team is. They're gritty, they're resilient, and they fight till the final nail. That's what this team does. They don't just sit back and do nothing. They fight for it. And they go for the stars. This team is awesome. This team has revitalized Pitt men's basketball for a reason. They don't say no to anything. I mean, let's be real here, guys. Let me just read you some crazy things. I mean, first of all, let's just go through the basic things. Pitt was without Federico. Jamarius Burton played only 19 minutes. That's not even counting what has happened earlier in the year where they're missing 3 players already. Nelly Cummings gets hurt mid-game, comes back in, plays. And yet the team still keeps fighting and going. And they still win this game. It's rare to see that. Here's some other stats. They shot 39% from the floor. 60% from the free throw line. They were out rebounded by 21. They were out rebounded by 12 on the offensive boards. And yet, with a backup center, a backup center, really, all things considered, they went in and won this game. This is unbelievable. An unbelievable win for this team, man. It's resilient. And you want to talk about resilience, too. Let's talk about resilience. It's not just overcoming the injury to Federico. That's a big part of it. But it's Nelly Cummings, Gray Elliott, and Nike Sabani keeping the team afloat when Burton's out. When Burton has to sit these guys, shoot well from 3, Nelly Cummings put on his hero cap today. Played all 40 minutes of this game, was banged up in the second half, and yet still came out with a baller mentality and got Pitt to where they needed to be, which is in the W column today. Greg Elliott made a few huge threes. So did Nike Sabandi. And then Blake Hinson and Jamarius Burton, who hadn't done anything all day, really. You know, they had 9 combined first half points. Hinson was having a little rough go of things offensively. Burton was getting, was in 4 fouls, not even 5 minutes into the second half. So he sat most of the time. Blake Hinson gives him some separation to make it 58-52. Well, all right, you'll lose all of that. Now it's 59-58. Who makes the big shot? JB. I mean, that is resilience. And then coming down the other end, Tolu Smith would have had an easy finger roll lay-in. And who comes from behind to swat it? Guillermo Diaz-Graham. I mean, this is the model of this team. How can you not love this basketball team? They have everything. And here's some crazy thing from OptaStats. Pitt's the only D1 team in the last 25 seasons to score fewer than 60 points, shoot 35% or worse on two-pointers, shoot 60% or worse on free throws, and get out-rebounded by 20 more and still win the game. That is not just the tournament. That is games, period, and they won. They dug deep on this one. Not everything was perfect, but these guys live for the moment. You can tell Nelly Cummings especially lives for this moment. Every time he's been in the tournament stage, he's had a big performance. He had those 20 points against Wisconsin last year. Comes up with a huge 15 this year. Jamarius Burton loves the stage. He wanted that ball in his hands. Blake Hinson had no fear shooting that logo shot because he knew it was going in. This is awesome. Everything about this game was awesome. And it was exemplary of the team that Pitt is. And this season, it's a special team. This team is really a special unit. And it would have been tough to think about them anything other than a team that conquers their biggest challenges. It feels like a roadblock has been in their way every time, and yet they've clawed back up and they have just climbed to the top yet again. It feels like that every time. It feels like that they are not going to get there. They do. This team, man, this team, they just dig deep and find a way. I have no other way to describe it. They find a way, and it's been exemplary this whole season. Miami, Virginia, UNC, so many more games where they just find a way. And this game in particular was an awesome one. I do want to talk more about this game, but first, folks, I want to let you know about FanDuel. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Locked On. It's the midway point of the NBA season, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Folks, then you can bet on everything from money line to point scores to threes drained. You can do anything from core markets, spread, money line, total, player props like points, rebounds, assists, or you can do many exclusive bets like 2 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes, and so on. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a bigger chance at a bigger parlay for the same game payout. Folks, you don't need to miss your chance on your no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000 in bonus bets, because when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, you get all of it. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, everybody. Let's get back to talking about Pitt hoops. This game, it was a blast in every single way imaginable to me. It really put in everything you wanted it to. It gave Pitt the oomph, the push that I didn't know they still had in them. This game put a charge under them in a way we haven't seen in a little bit from this team. But it was there. And the big moments were there. It's just unbelievable. The logo 3 from Blake Hinson is still one of the craziest shots I've ever seen, but I'll tell you what. let me give a shout out, the star of the game. You know, Nelly Cummings has had a great story and putting the rep on for Pittsburgh, saying he's going to bring it back and saying he is going to come and give Pitt that win that they get. That one win. He's going to bring it back. He's going to bring this team back. And they did that. And he was the best player on the floor for them today. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who I have to give a shout out to. No questions asked. Let me give a shout out to Guillermo Diaz-Graham. Let's be real. It wasn't a great game for Guillermo Diaz-Graham. But not really due to his own fault. He's very slim. His frame just didn't have enough muscle on it. And so when you look at a guy that would love to go up stronger, but he can't because he doesn't have that natural strength with him, it's kind of hard to watch. I mean, you look at this guy, and he was 1 of 8 from the field with only 1 3 made, 0 of 1 from the stripe, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. 37 huge minutes in his first career start. Huge minutes. And they weren't just small minutes, they were huge minutes. Tolu Smith got put into foul trouble early on because of him. Without Guillermo Diaz-Graham, Tolu Smith isn't in foul trouble, and he frustrated Tolu Smith all day on the defensive end. Only 13 points and only 8 rebounds. That's really good in terms of limiting what he does. 5 turnovers, too. Never let him take over the game. They never let him take over the game. And so I look at it, man, this team got the biggest next man up contribution of the year in Guillermo Diaz-Graham. Hats off to him, man. What a game this guy played. And the block at the end, such a huge play to step up at that moment. He gave all the effort he had on defense. Credit to the kid, man. Credit to the kid. This dude is a really, really gritty player. I'll take everything he gave them today over just about anything I'll see from most players. He gave Pitt the heart and the effort that few will give any team. It was awesome to see Guillermo Diaz-Graham battle and claw and scrape for everything. And it wasn't a great game, and that's fine. It didn't need to be a great game. He was good on defense, and he did what he needed to do. And that was the special thing. This Pitt team just finds a way. I don't know how to say it otherwise. This was a really tough matchup for them with Smith and other guys just doing things. And it was never going to be easy for them moving forward. They were going to have to scratch and claw. And given the circumstances they faced with the Federico injury, with Burton essentially missing half the game, with all of it, this team rose to the occasion, and they were resilient, and they did it in so many different areas. Honestly, when you look at Pitt, that's a team I don't want to see. And now they get Iowa State, and they get the 3 days rest too, so they don't play again until Friday. That'll be very helpful to me for them. I look at that, and I really like that for a few reasons. One of the big reasons I really like it is because Pitt doesn't have to travel right away. They can rest, and it could be the difference to getting Federico back on the floor. I don't know if he's going to play, but I do think that they need Federico to make any more deep runs here. They match up well against the team in Iowa State. They match up well against them. but it is not going to be easy without this guy. Federico's a difference maker. And Diaz-Graham gave him so many good minutes, but it was a dig deep, gritted out style that you don't want to try and run back completely again. But this team, man, what a fun team they are. And you can't deny it. The team just battles. The team just grinds. The team forces other teams to match their energy level. And they love playing together, and they mesh so well together. And from a basketball standpoint, there was most definitely some concerning things in this game. But we can talk about those later. Not in the jubilation of this moment. Huge win for Jeff Capel's team. Where this program was, man, I keep saying, and I've said it all week, where the program was in the preseason, projected to finish 14th in the ACC. Jeff Capel was essentially considered a lame duck head coach. They went and won a tournament game. Their first in 9 years. 9 years it's been since Pitt won an NCAA tournament game. It's been that long. But they got one now. And it's thanks to the contributions of everyone on this team. And the effort they give day in and day out, it doesn't matter if it's Guillermo Diaz-Graham or old head Jamarius Burton. They give you their all. And Guillermo Diaz-Graham today is an exemplary thing of this team. They fight hard, they love the game, and they love playing for Jeff Capel. And they take pride in playing for him. And that, to me, is the biggest lesson we can take away from this. It's an insane win to win this game. But it highlights just about everything that's right about this team. That's right about the journey they've dealt with from Brooklyn to now, when they were punched in the face twice against West Virginia at home and then on neutral site in Barclays Center against Michigan. When they responded to that, went on a 20-5 stretch. Then they hit a rough patch, get blown out by Duke. Well, you can tuck their tails in, certainly, because Federico's also out. You can say you had a good season, you made the NCAA tournament. But no, they came out with energy, they fought hard, and they won a game that was as gritty and as hard-nosed as you'll find in an NCAA tournament game. It wasn't a fun game for anybody in terms of modern basketball. That wasn't going to be this game, though. And it was going to be a tough game for Pitt because of the style of play Mississippi State played, and yet they still pulled it out. You can't be anything other than proud of that effort. You can't be anything other than loving the embrace of the moment. For Jeff Capel, one of the more impressive games I feel like he has coached in terms of getting his team ready to go, getting his team coached up for this game. Yes, there were some lapses, and that last shot wasn't great because you left the guy wide open for three. But what you did get out of this game is the soul and heart you saw all year. He should be so proud of his team. He should be so proud of his team at this point and what they bring to the table. They're going to be a tough out for any team. They're going to be a tough team. Pitt is such a energetic group that simply loves to play with one another. I'm not sure where they'll go from here. Wherever they go from here is what it is. But when you push through a game like this, with circumstances like this, it is a special feeling for a program that has been kicked down in the dirt for as long as this program has. It means something just a little bit more. Making the tournament was great. Winning a tournament game when it's like that, when you have essentially a game winner with 9 seconds left. When you have a block like that, when you have a freshman step up like that in the face of adversity, it means something a little bit different, and it makes it a lot special, folks. It really does. And so Pitt wins. They're going to face Iowa State. We'll talk about that certainly throughout the week and preview Iowa State in the coming days. Folks, as always, thank you for listening to the Locked On Pitt podcast. Make sure to subscribe, do all of that great stuff. And as always, hail to Pitt.